Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. 9:58. We got a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to say hi.
This is live in a minute. Is it supposed to be showing?
There's a bit of a delay.
There is.
Trying to get everything rigged up here. We're on the other side of my sewing room, and because I wanted you to see the quote behind me. So things are a little bit different, and we're going to do a little camera movement through our session here so that I can show you everything I want to show you. But I'm so excited that you're all here today. I hope everything is going well. I love night owl quilting. I love it. I look forward to it all day. I prepare for it all day, actually 2 days. I did a little preparing last night also, but welcome to all of our newbies. If you are new, please let us know in the chat that you are new. We would love to say hi, and hopefully you'll be back. So please let us know. We want to know who's here and where you're from. And I'm too far away from my computer to be able to read your comments. So hopefully I'll hear if there's something that I need to know, Terry, or Alex will let me know. So I apologize. I would be really happy if I could wear my glasses while I'm doing this because I can't see distance very well. And the reason I don't is because I have these big lights shining on me, which are hard enough. But when I have my glasses on, then all you see are the lights shining in my glasses. So that's why I have to go blind while I'm sitting here talking to you. And when I do try and see what's on the screen, I usually scrunch up and have this really ugly face while I'm trying to see what everybody is saying. So anyway, it's so much easier for me when I've got somebody here to help me out. Well, it's 10 o'clock, so let's get started. I have my notes that I'll be referring to so that I don't forget anything. But I'm so excited that you are all here. And again, please let me know where you're from. And I'm saying hi as a group this time because I can't see exactly who's here, but I will take a look later. If you do have any comments or questions that I have not answered that you would like me to answer, please email mary@joyfulandmaryquilting.com and I will respond. Keep in mind, we are engaging in the Project Linus Quilt Challenge right now, so I have a lot of emails in my email box. And I'm trying to get to them in an orderly fashion so that I don't miss anything or I don't make any mistakes. So if you don't hear back from me right away, hopefully in the next week that will settle down and I will be able to answer you. But at this point, still, please let me know if you have any questions and I will do my best to answer. First thing on our list is
Any newbies?
I did ask for newbies, but I'd love to have you post if you are new so that I can actually say hi to you because Terry's going to tell me who you are so that I can give you the hello and we can all welcome you. So please write that in the chat. We have, at this point, we need 82 more subscribers to hit the 25,000 subscriber mark. Now, keep in mind, August 4th was our anniversary, 1 year, and we are almost at 25,000. Now, I know the summertime, everything slows down a little bit. People aren't looking and sitting around watching YouTube videos. Some are, but most aren't. And they're busy with other things. But I think as the fall approaches, we're going to get that, our quilts and our hot chocolate or a cup of coffee, and we're going to sit in our chair and we're going to look at some YouTube videos. And hopefully at that point, we will continue to climb because the more subscribers we have, the more our videos are seen, which means the more people that we have participating in our challenges, in our website, all that stuff. It just all tends to multiply. So please, please, please let other people know. If you haven't done it yet today, click like, even if you don't know if you're going to like it, but you're going to like it. I guarantee you, you're going to like this meeting. But also click subscribe if you haven't. It's just you click on that little bell. And then once you subscribe, then you'll be notified in YouTube. You don't get emails. You're notified in YouTube if there's a new video. It'll pop up and it'll show you that our channel has created something new. So, if you're not interested, you don't have to look at it. But if you are, then it's there and you don't have to go hunt for it. Okay, first of all, I want to share my merry moment with you. And my merry moment is behind me. And this is our 2024 Project Linus Quilt Challenge. Now, those of you who are not familiar with Project Linus, I am the National Vice President. We are a nonprofit organization. We donate quilts, afghans, fleece blankets to seriously ill and traumatized children across the United States. There are some Project Linus organizations in other countries, in the UK, in Canada, in Australia, that are not affiliated with us, but they do the exact same thing. And I advertise them as well. We are just grateful to have that camaraderie as we serve children together. Project Linus has a twofold mission. The first part is, of course, about the blankets and quilts and afghans for children. The other half is that we provide a service opportunity for members of the community for the benefit of children, which means that you can serve children in your local community through a Project Linus chapter. Maybe there's no chapter in your area. Go to projectlinus.org and open a chapter if you're interested. It's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding. It does entail a lot of work on my part, I feel like, but it's work that I enjoy and love. So if you're interested in that, you can go there. But this particular time of year, in the past, it's been a mystery challenge, kind of changed things up a little bit because this is our 10th year. We wanted to make things a little bit different. So this year, I'm actually showing you the finished quilt, which is this quilt, and then this quilt. This is the easy version. This is the little more challenging version, but it's not really that challenging. The fun part about this is that you can involve kids and adults, people of all ages, in creating this. And this is the fun part. It's the centers of those squares. Now, I've told everybody there is a video, and I'm not going to talk anymore about it because it takes up too much time, but there is a Zoom video that we taped this past weekend, and it tells you everything. It gives you all the information on what the challenge is all about, how to join up, how to credit your local chapter with your donation, your local Project Linus chapter, all that stuff. So if you are interested, and Alex will post the link in the chat as well, we have Joyful and Mary Quilting, Joyful, Joyful and A-N-D, Mary, Merry, not Mary like my name, Mary.com/Zoom, Zoom replay, replay. That's the link you can go to watch the Zoom video that tells you all about it. Maybe you're on the fence, you're not sure, you don't know. If you go there, you can watch and learn everything. It's not super long. I tried to keep it 30 minutes just so that everybody doesn't get bored and run away before it's over. We want you to join. We want you to be a part of this. There are 3 quilts actually that you can download the patterns. It's a workshop. It's a course. We have detailed videos and all of that information is available in the Zoom course. Below the video, you're going to see a yellow button. So if you're writing this down, write it down. Remember, joyfulandmaryquilting.com/Zoom replay. And then click on the yellow button. That will take you to the registration page. Once you're at the registration page, you fill all that out. There's a couple of extra offers that will also benefit Project Linus. If you're not interested, just say no thanks and move on. And then at the end, you'll be registered. You'll get a preparation page right now. The quilt pattern and videos will be opened on September 3rd. So just keep that. Again, everything else is in there. We would love to have you join us. Project Linus is so grateful for any donations, especially to our local chapters. It's expensive to make a quilt. You all know, you're quilters. It costs money to do that. And many of our people that donate quilt after quilt after quilt, they do that out of their own pocket. And to have some of those extra materials provided makes a huge difference within our chapters. So they get that money and they're able to use that to buy blanket making materials. We have a poll going on right now on our Night Owl Quilt. Well, actually, it's on our YouTube channel. If you look at the YouTube, it'll say at the top shorts, and it'll say live, and it'll say videos. If you go to the Joyful and Mary Quilting YouTube channel. So you have to go to the channel, not just click on a video, because that's just going to show you the video. You go to the channel, and there's a tab that has all that. You have to keep going. The tab extends farther. You just keep going, and there's a community tab. And when you click on that, that's where the poll is. And if you can't find it, you can answer the poll this way. Just email Mary@joyfulandmaryquilting.com. Either way works. But what the poll says is, would you like me to change the Night Owl Quilting time from 10 p.m. Central Time to 9 p.m. Central Time. We just feel a little concerned that we're just not doing what we need to do for those who want to attend in the Eastern time zone because it's so late. You know, midnight is late for a lot of people. I stay up till, you know, all hours. So this is not late for me, but for others it is. But then we have to consider that it's not really night owl quilting if it's really early on the West Coast. So this is our question. If you answer the poll, just let me know. Would you like to change it to 9 p.m. Central Time? Leave it at 10 p.m. Central Time, or you don't care, either time works for you. We would really appreciate that information. And at our next Night Owl Quilting, I will let you know what we've decided and how we're gonna proceed. So if you have a minute and you can do that, if you don't care, you know, we understand as well. Some people, it's not a big deal what time we have it, and we get that. One last announcement: membership in our Joyful and Merry Community Quilt Guild is opening on August 28th. And if you are interested in that, we will be sending out that announcement as well. You just need to be on our email list, joyfulandmerryquilting.com. If you go there, click on free workshop, you'll enter your email address, and that sets up your email account, and then you'll receive our newsletters. Newsletters come out on Thursday, and they're really good. I mean, I think I write it, so I think they're really good, but I have quilting tips. I refer you to quilting videos. We have a trivia section. We have a merry moment that I like to share. We also have some guild information, so you can just see what's happening in the guild. And it's just kind of a fun little document that you can read on Thursday mornings. So if you would like to be included in that, if you want to read any of the old newsletters, they're all on our joyfulandmerryquilting.com website. Just click on blog. So we're going to make some jar openers today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about those. Terry's going to switch the camera so we can actually look down, but I'm going to keep talking while he's doing that, just so that I can kind of give you a little info on how this project came about. So I'm going to move out of the way. And basically what, you know, Night Owl Quilting, I always said, we're just going to get together and we're going to sew. And hopefully you all are doing that. You're just bringing something to work on. If you want to work on our project, great. You know, I would love, because that's why I do it. You know, I work hard trying to come up with something fun for everybody to do that's useful. But, you know, not everybody wants to do that. And sometimes you just want to sit and watch, or just, thanks. You just want to relax while we're doing this, and that is fine also. So today I'm looking, I found this, there were several tutorials on this. This was something that many of you probably have already seen, but I always like to find tutorials, and then I like to see if I can't change them up just a little bit to make them a little bit either easier or more doable or whatever. So I had found this, well, actually, it wasn't a pattern, it was an idea on making a jar opener. Now, y'all know what those are. This is one that I had from one of the hospitals in our area. And what you do is you just, it's a rubberized, it's you know, a rubber piece, and you take it and you put it on top of your jar. I'm not going to open it because I'm not ready to have pizza right now, but you just do this, and it just helps you grab onto the jar and open it. And it's just always amazing to me, you know, sometimes I can open them, not a problem. And other times I just struggle. And so this, you know, these are fun. Sometimes you'll get these from, you know, as a favor or something, for like I did for this hospital. But we like, you know, we're quilters, and we like to make little presents for people. I like to make little presents for people. So what I've done, I've already sewn the pieces because sometimes it's hard to sew, especially on this side of the room. But I'm going to just show you what I came up with. And if you brought your supplies with you, I gave you a list. One thing I did not tell you about was the tissue paper. And you could just add that in, either tissue paper or just a sheet of paper. If you've got a sheet of computer paper sitting around, grab it. It will work as well if you're going to be sewing with me. So if you've got your pen and pencil, you're just taking notes, and then you can go back, of course, and rewatch this. And when you rewatch it, you can get all the details. Okay, so first I'm going to give you a little preface, and then I'm going to show you how I decided to do it. You need, I'll set this aside. You actually need, these are all my materials here. I'm going to just kind of set those out of the way. Oops, I don't want to get rid of my phone in case Alex needs to talk to me. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is 2 fabric squares that are 7 inches by 7 inches, which I chose both of them to be the same fabric. One of them doesn't really show. You can sort of see it. So you don't really have to use your good fabric for the second one. I just wanted something cute. And I thought, wouldn't this be fun? A fun little giveaway if we've got a quilt guild meeting, or if we have some kind of just a friend that we want to give something simple to. We don't want a big old gift, but we want something that shows them that, we're wishing them happy holidays. Or if we've got, this was my little Christmas fabric, the little cookies on here. I thought this was so cute. So if I'm going to give out little Christmas gifts to my friends, I thought this would be really fun. But again, you can do anything, and I'll show you that in a second. You can use any kind of fabric, and you can give this out any time of year. So you've got the 2 7-inch squares plus a piece of shelf liner that's cut to 7 inches. Now I had this kind too. I don't remember what I was making a while back, and I bought a whole bunch of this stuff. But this is the white. It comes in all colors. It comes in black. And this is just the neutral color, which works really well with this particular fabric that I used. So you'll need that. These are all cut 7 by 7. So that's 7 inches by 7 inches. And then you need either a piece of paper or a tissue paper. Honestly, the paper works just fine as well. So, I have tissue paper, but you can use either one, and I don't have any trouble with either one. I cut this 8 inches. I wanted it a little bit bigger. So if you're using an 8.5 by 11-inch piece of paper, just cut a piece that there's going to be some border around the edge when you put your 7-inch square on. It's not crucial that it's 8 inches. So I've got those 3 pieces. Now the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to set my tissue paper aside. We are going to sew these pieces together. So we put them right sides together, but here's the difference. We want that piece of shelf liner in between those 2 pieces. So we've got right side up, shelf liner, wrong side up, okay? And usually when we put fabric together, it stays in place because the fabric kind of glues itself to itself. But when you've got that shelf liner in here, it wants to move around. So you've got to be really careful when you're doing your pinning that it doesn't start to slip one way or another. The first place that I pin, I like to use these really teeny pins, but for the first pinning, I always use a flower head or a different pin, maybe a pin that's got a big yellow head on or something. And this is going to be where my opening is. And you want, maybe about a 3-inch opening, just so that you don't stretch it too much when you're trying to open. So I'm going to put that's going to be my end pin, and then 1/2 1, 1/2 2, 1/2 3. So that's about where I want my start sewing pin. And I'm just using my cutting mat to kind of give me that 3 inches, 2.5, whatever. Okay, so then I really, I'm a pinner, so I want to go all the way around the edge. I'm going to start here because you can see it's already, it already wants to move. So I'm going to I tried clips. I just wasn't crazy about the clips because they just didn't hold my fabric in place like the pins do. So that's why I'm using pins. So I've got one side, and I like to put 3 pins on a side. I'm going to do my corners. I don't really, you can put one here if you want, but it's pretty stable right there. The issue is that when you go around the corner, you want to make sure that you've taken this pin out, but you want to make sure that this doesn't get sloppy here. So that's why I put an extra pin in there. One here, and then my final side. I'm going to put this in here. And I always pin ends and then center on these because I want to make sure my ends are lined up right. And there we go. Okay, so now that I have this the way I want it, that shelf liner is hidden. So I don't have to worry about it dragging on my sewing machine when I'm sewing because it's hidden inside. It is a little thicker. I did not use a walking foot, although you can. I did use a walking foot when I did one of them, and I didn't use it on the second one. It didn't really make that much difference. So what you're going to do is you're going to start here at your beginning pin, do some back stitching, and you're going to sew. Now, you're going to sew a 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch seam. Write that down if you forget, so you don't forget, because we will then trim it back. But that makes sure that if there's any slipping anywhere, our shelf liner doesn't sneak under here and then we don't get it caught in the seam line. That happened to me, and that's why I decided that a 1/2 inch was good. So when I do mine, you can do it either way. You can start here and pivot and go all the way around. I usually start here. I do a little back stitch. I go down and I sew off the end. Then I cut my thread. I turn it. Then I'll start here, a 1/2 inch in, sew all the way down, back stitch here, cut my thread. Turn it this way, same thing, 1/2 inch. You can see where I've got my mark on my mat. I'm going to go down, and you know, as a quilter, this is like really hard to sew a 1/2 inch, but you want to do that to make sure that everything gets caught in there. And then same thing here, all the way down, sew off the end. And then when we get here, we're going to sew that 1/2 inch. And when we get to the stopping point, we're going to do a little back stitch here, because this is where we're going to turn it. And if you have to turn all this bulk and bring it through this opening, you can, you know, tear your stitches out. So you want to make sure that that's secured there. And you don't want to have it too small here, because you're going to really stretch out that fabric when you're trying to turn and pull everything out. So I like to do that. Go ahead, if you're sewing with me, you'll want to go ahead and start and sew all the way around the edge. Make sure that once you have, as you are going, you remove those pins before you get to them. Now, this is a tricky one right here. Actually, I probably should have put this one over a little bit, because I'm going to be sewing off the end here, and I don't want to catch any part of that pin in the sewing, just in case my needle hits it and I damage my sewing machine. You know, for sure you'll damage your needle, but worse off is damaging your sewing machine. So just make sure that you've got those, this one probably too, have it over far enough that it's not going to get in anywhere close to that 1/2 inch as you're going around. So that's step one. So we have done that. I'm going to set this aside. Now I'm going to talk a little bit. Yep. Sure. Sure.
Would a 6-inch square work?
You know what? Yes, any size square will work. This, if you take a look at this, it won't make it too small. Oops. Okay. If you take a look at this particular little grippy thing, this is actually only 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. This whole thing, so that will work. This is pretty standard jar size, and look at, you know, it's 3 inches. So you want to have enough that it goes over the edge, which this does. Now, I have had some that are really tiny and they don't. I don't like that. So you want it a little bigger, but this, like I say, is 4 3/4 inches. So this one that we're working on is going to finish at what's it going to finish? About 6 inches. So that'll take you down, if you're using 6-inch squares, it's going to take you down to 5 1/2, but or 5. Actually, it'll be 5 because we're taking a 1/2 inch off each side. So 5 inches is still okay. It's just a little bit larger than this. So I think, yes, that would be fine. Thanks for asking that question. Pardon me?
Would you use a gripper on both sides of it?
I wouldn't. I mean, I don't, you know, this part of it, I feel like, you know, this is okay, but my hand can slip on this. And I'm telling you, when I used, I'll show you in a second, but when I used with the cloth really does make it nice on my hand. So I don't feel like I need to have the grip on the top side. I only need it on the bottom side.
Wax paper instead of tissue paper that slides over the throat plate.
Ooh, wax paper. Great idea to put wax paper instead of tissue paper. What a great idea. I wish you would have been in my sewing room this afternoon. That would have been a great help. But definitely, that's a good suggestion. Thank you very much for that. Wax paper, of course, that'll work perfectly. I'm going to tell you a couple things, a couple of problems that I had with what I did earlier once I show you how to do all this. The other thing I want to show you is this is the shelf liner. You got this at Walmart, right? Yeah, this was at Walmart. It's just the easy liner. They come in all sorts of sizes. And they're not, you know, let's see, whatever this, it's it's 12 inches this way. So, when I cut 7, I've got 5 hanging off here that I'm not going to use for anything. So you want, you can always, if you're doing the 6-inch, then you can get 2 out of this particular shelf liner. So that's another good idea with using that one.
Dollar store has it.
Oh, dollar store. Okay, that's a great, even better. My tissue paper, this is just stuff that I use at Christmas, to wrap stuff or for gifts or whatever. So that's what I use to cut that up. And I just have extra in my closet, and I just cut those 8-inch squares out. But again, the wax paper, better idea, way better. If you have it, you can use it. Okay, so now let's move on. And I showed you how to pin it. So now I have actually sewn this, and I've sewn around the edge. You can see that here it goes all the way around, a 1/2 inch in, and I am now going to trim this to a 1/4 inch seam. So I got my rotary cutter here, and my 1/4 inch seam is marked on here. So I'm going to line up that 1/4 inch dashed line, and I'm just going to go around. Now, if you don't want to, you don't have to. I just find that when I'm top stitching, I think it's just I like this to just tuck in nicely. And I find, maybe it's just because I'm a quilter and 1/4 inches is just what I do. So I don't know. But anyway, I like it when it's all neat. I like when I trim my edge and I don't have all this extra stuff that squeezes out. When I trim this, look at it, it's nice and neat. And I like that. Okay, so I'm placing my ruler around all 4 edges, trimming that out. Now you want to clip those corners. You can clip them with scissors, or you can just take your rotary cutter and go around the edge. You do that because you don't want to clip the corner where the intersection is. You want to clip just to the outside of that. It just, when you turn it, then that gives you a little bit better, sharper point. So that's what I'm going to do here. Just clipping that off. And you also want to be careful when you turn it that you don't poke your turning tool through those corners. So when you have a little tiny bit of extra right there, it helps with that. Okay, so my opening is right here. So now this is the tedious part, turning this right side out. So what we're going to do is we are going to turn it. Now, if you're using a different fabric, just, any fabric that you are going to have that will be underneath the shelf liner, you can see when you pull it out, make sure that you pull it out so that your good fabric is the fabric that's going to be showing, and the fabric that you don't really care about is going to be underneath. But think about this. If you put a red under here, something, the red would show through it, look real pretty. So it's whatever you want to do. So I like to, just poke my corners out first, but then I always use a chopstick. I know there's corner turners, and you can use a knitting needle or whatever, but I don't know, chopstick just seems to work well for me. So I'm going to go inside, in between, not inside this, because you're going to poke that chopstick right through the shelf liner. You're going to go inside the actual 2 pieces of fabric, and then just carefully just roll that out. So we've got 1 iron going here, and 2. And again, be really careful. Don't poke it really hard, because I have poked through the corners. You don't even realize it. It depends on the fabric too. Sometimes if you have a fabric with a loose weave, it's easier to poke through. Okay, so there I have this part of it. There's my wrinkled up side. I want to press that. I also want to make sure that when I'm pressing it, that this is folded in nicely so it's not crooked. I don't like where, oh, there's where she turned it, because it's all crooked there. And so I'm just going to put some of these really teeny pins. They're glass head pins, so if I do hit them with the iron, it's okay. Be careful because they get hot. So, and I got a burn on my hand where I burned it on the iron the other day. So it's healing, but it looks terrible. Sorry about that. So there I've got this. Now what I'm going to do is clean up my space here a little bit. Bring my iron over. And you would think that this is going to melt. I don't want to touch my iron to this because it will melt. But on this side, you can't see it. I don't have any of the shelf liners sticking out. So I can easily just go over this and press it, and I don't have any problem. And I have it. I mean, it's going to be hot, so you can see it kind of gets warm, but I'm not going to, keep it on there for a long period of time to melt it. I just want you to spray a little pressing solution on there if you feel like you need to get some of those heavy wrinkles out. Flatter works well if you've got some wrinkles that are a little persistent, but you want to make sure this is the key part is right here, so that when I do go and do my top stitching, I can take those pins out and it's not going to pull out, in which this won't. In fact, I can take my pins out right now and I can start there and go around the edge. So this is where you want to, I'm going to actually put my pins back in again just so I can show you. Oops, yeah, I'm sorry, I keep shaking the table. The camera is hooked onto the table, and every time I move or put my iron down, I'm getting you all motion sick, and I apologize for that. Okay, so there's our piece. Now, this is where your wax paper or whatever you're using is going to come into play. The issue is that this sticks to it's going to stick to either your sewing machine if you put it on the bottom, or it's going to stick to your foot, your presser foot, if you put it on the top. So I was looking online and I found this product. It's called Foot Magic. It says tape to make almost any foot glide over difficult fabrics. Okay, except for mine. It didn't say that on here. It said everything except for Mary's fabric, because it did not work on mine and it was horrible. What it is it's a little piece. See this little blue tape? This is actually the cover. You rip it off and a little piece of plastic. It looks just like tape. It's just a little more durable than tape. You're supposed to put that on your presser foot underneath it and then trim it off so that you've got that coating on your foot. And then you're supposed to be able to glide your foot on vinyl or whatever. That's the way that was the impression I got. Well, it didn't. I couldn't get my sewing machine to move with that on there. So I ended up taking it off and using my paper. That was the best. Now, I know there are some presser foots called Teflon feet. What do you call them? Feet. And supposedly those do glide over vinyl or this type of rubbery type fabric or material. I did not try it. I didn't buy one of those, so I don't know if that works. I just, unless I did something wrong, and I could have, I don't want to disparage anybody's company. Maybe this works on other things other than, but it says when you are done with your project, you just take the tape off, and and I did. So it didn't ruin my machine or anything like that, but I just was not able to get my foot to move quickly. I tried using a 4.0 stitch. It still didn't work. So anyway, I found that this was better. So what you're going to do is whatever you want to protect your surface from this, the surface of your sewing machine. So you're going to take and just place this on here. I don't pin it on here. So that's why I have this big, huge piece, because when I send it around, I'll take it so you can see it a little bit better. When I put it under there, that way, if it turns a little bit, I still have my area protected from the rubber backing. So I take this and I'm just going to, first of all, sew right next to the edge, like about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. We want to make sure that we catch that seam in there. So we're going to go, so we close it. We'll go all the way around about 1/8 of an inch. And then what I do is I put the edge of my presser foot on that seam, the right edge, and I sew a foot width in. So I do the same thing. So I'll show you that. So I've done that. So this is what I've done. This is the first seam that I sewed right around the edge here. And then I sewed a foot width in, and I just pivoted and went around on each one. And then you have to pull out the paper. This is a drag. Nobody likes to take the paper off. The tissue paper really does come off easily. So you just have to go around and pull it. And not reusable or anything. So if you make 100 of these, you're going to need enough tissue paper to cut out 108-inch squares. you, as I go along, you can just tear it and pull it off, and it does come off. You know what the part is that's the worst. It's that part in between the two seams. But again, you just pull it and then it'll come out, and it really does come out quickly and easily. It's just that for some reason we just hate taking paper off of stuff. And anyway, I just thought, oh, this is such a fun thing to make, just a little gift for somebody, and it doesn't cost a lot. We could just use our scraps, which is even better. If you've got some layer cake squares, you can easily cut out 7-inch squares out of those. You can use, I think a charm pack square might be a little small. I don't think it's going to cover your lid, and then you're going to have too much tension on your hand. So there oops, a little bit more right there. And there we have our square. So this is it. This is the finished one. I mean, that one's finished too, so I've got 2 of them. But then when you're using it, you place it on your jar, and see how you can grab it? It's so handy. You've got enough on here. That's where a smaller one, I'd be really careful with how small I made it, just because you want to make sure that you can grip it. And look, you don't really need any grippy on this side, because it really does. There's no moving this. It's in place as I try and open my jar. Ooh, one on the top and one on the bottom. Oh, that is a phenomenal idea. Look at that. Well, whoever suggested that, thank you for that suggestion. Look at here. So you give them to somebody in 2s. Oh, take a little pin, put it in there, attach a little tag, show them how to use it. I got a thread there. That is a great idea. Oh, I love that. So they would come in a double pack. And then you could have matching fabrics. You can have 2 that go together. Somebody else suggested that you sew a magnet inside of here, and then it can hang on the refrigerator. I didn't really care for that idea, just because I don't want to grab onto it and have a magnet hitting me. And even if it's in the edge, I usually keep mine in the drawer. So that wasn't something that I would do. The other thing you can do is you can sew a ribbon in the corner if you want, and then that way they can hang up and they're easy to get, to access. So that's another thing. Okay, so now I want to show you a couple of things that I did that I didn't care for and that I did like. There's a couple things that I think you'll be excited about this. Okay. So first of all, this was when I used these little pieces on these little foot magic pieces on my square. Look at how terrible that looks. It just got all distorted. These were all cut the same. But look at that, because when I went through, you can see my stitches were terrible because I couldn't push it through. And so as I'm going along, one of the things you want to make sure is that you have some anchoring here. If you want to, even you could put a little tacking in the center just to make sure. But I really think if you've got it this much quilted to this point, you're probably okay. This isn't going to cause an issue. But, if you feel like you need to. Well, anyway, my first one, I sewed an X on it, which I think looks awful. Sewed it from corner to corner. You can see how terrible it looks. And yeah, is it functional? Yeah. Could I put it in the drawer and nobody would care? Yeah. Would I ever give something like this away? Never. But this was using the foot magic. So anyway, like I said, I just did not have good luck with it. It could have been user error, definitely. I'm sure there are people that love that product, but for this particular thing, you can see by what I got here, it just really didn't work. Okay, then I thought, what if I made a circle? So what I did was I cut a circle out of, I used my AccuQuilt, my circle cutter, and I cut the only one layer. No, I take that back. I did 2. I did 2 layers. I put them together, wrong sides together, the 2 circles, and then I put the shelf liner on the back. When I did pin it all the way around, and then I used just an applique stitch, because I felt like these are all raw edges, and when you wash them, they'll fluff up, so that will be okay. But I just, I'm not crazy about that. So I did try and put a stitch. It's not decorative. I don't think it looks very good. But actually, if you're good at this, which I obviously am not, this looks cute too, and you can still use this. This is a This was a 5.5-inch square. So again, after the question about using 6-inch squares, and then you would take off a little bit. This could still be, that could still be a good size. So this is just cutting a circle. No turning it right side out or anything. We actually just have those 3 pieces as we did on the other one, but we put wrong sides together of the fabric, and then we put the shelf liner on the back. Make sure you cut them all out the same. Another thing you could do is if you cut it out larger, you could use pinking shears or a pinking blade and pink the edges. I think that might look a little bit better. And then just sew a straight stitch all the way around the edge and then have that pinked edge. I think that would probably look better than what I did here. So that's just learning from my mistakes. Don't do that. Then I had another idea. Oops, I see a thread. And what I thought was, how about if you have a lone block and, just a cute block that I make blocks all the time for demos, and then I've got these blocks left over. Well, this particular block was a quilt as you go block. So when I made this, actually, it has a backing, it has batting, and it has the block on the top. So I was a little worried that it wouldn't scrunch up enough, and it doesn't. It doesn't scrunch up the way I would want. It can, you can put it on here. There is some cushion in here so that if you do have issues with your hand, but I think this was let's see what size block this was. Yeah, this was a 6-inch block. Well, it was a 6.5-inch block that I trimmed down to 5.5. So this is 5.5. And see, my hand kind of goes off the edge here. I think it needs to be a little bit larger, but I think the thought is good. So I have this other block that's actually, what size is this one? Yeah, this is a 6.5-inch block also. So I think I'd probably want it just a tiny bit larger. But wouldn't that be fun to do one in this? But I would not put batting in it. I would just put another piece of fabric exactly the way we did it with this particular one. I would do it all the same. I might do a little bit of in the ditch quilting just to hold it down. You can do that. It's more, more lines on your paper when you have to remove it. But I thought it would be really fun to do some cute blocks if you have someone who's really special and you want to make them a jar opener, but you want it to be a little fancier than just the 2 fabrics put together. So that was that. And I just, I enjoyed actually experimenting with all these different ways. Once again, this was a really cute way, but no, batting was too much. So I've discovered you do not need batting. You do need the backing because the backing fabric shows through. This one just had white backing, but you can see that it does show through a bit. So you want to have that on there. And the top fabric is what's really important. And having that and putting the 2 together, I think is an even better idea. So let's move the camera back. And then if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
You just use a small magnetic clip and clip it on the edge of it.
Oh, that's a good idea. Someone suggested that you just use a magnetic clip and clip it on the end and then hang that up. And that's the way to go. I mean, that's what you want to do for sure. You could just easily take. Thanks. Whoa. There I am. Okay. So you would want to take this, you just put that, one of those magnetic clips on your refrigerator and then clip this back in or wherever you're going to have it. That's a really good idea. A serger for the edge would work as well. Serging comes in all different colors. It will cut everything off and then you don't have to do the turning. You can just do the edge. Serged edge, sometimes it just kind of depends on how you do it. Sometimes it can look kind of unfinished if you, leave your tails and you do the edge to edge. But if you do a nice rounded corner, it can look absolutely beautiful. I think it could look beautiful on the round one as well. Way better than what I did on mine. So that is a really good idea. Flannel on the underside? I don't know. I don't know if flannel would have enough grip to it.
Flannel for your underside fabric.
Oh, using flannel for the underside. Yeah, you could do that. Any fabric would work on there. Be careful if you do that because flannel shrinks a lot more than the other fabrics do. 100% cotton is what we use. If you pre-wash, you're good to go. But if you didn't pre-wash the fabrics, then your flannel could shrink in more. You want to be careful that you don't have a wrinkled up looking jar opener, just because your flannel has shrunk more than what the rest has. Now, keep in mind also that your grippy part is not going to shrink. I mean, that's going to stay the same. So pre-washing may be a good idea, just to make sure that you get everything the same, and that you can always press it really well with a pressing solution before you begin putting it together, and that way it stays nice and stiff and it looks new. You know, the pressing solution gives it that sizing that you want it to have when you have new fabric. When you pre-wash, you get rid of all that sizing, and that's where it gets that used look. And the pressing, I have found that when I use the Terreal Magic, I dilute it. If you don't dilute the Terreal Magic, then it's really stiff and it looks really, really new. Or you can dilute it; it still gives you that nice crisp look.
Somebody suggested TU for a Teflon foot.
Okay. Anything else? I think that's it. Well, you guys, look at 45 minutes. I got done fast. If you have anything that you want to share or you want to talk about, or any questions you have, please ask. Any questions about the Mystery Quilt Challenge? It's not a mystery. I keep calling it that. The Project Linus Quilt Challenge, please let me know. Tomorrow, I have a really fun quilting tip that I hope you'll check into. Our videos, every Tuesday, we have a quilting tip video. And this one is about, I have people ask me all the time about reading a pattern. How do you read a pattern? And I want to show you how I read a pattern. So I've got 5 ways that I read my pattern and prepare myself for quilting that keeps me organized and helps me so that I don't make so many mistakes when it comes to following the steps in a pattern. You all know every designer has a different way to put their patterns together, and some are really easy to follow and some are not so easy to follow. But if we get our own system down, and every time we do whatever, and I'll show you what I do, I think it helps, and it makes it so that we can actually have a smooth and a fun experience, and we don't mess everything up all the time.
Parchment paper as well.
Oh, parchment paper putting under. That's another great idea. You can put parchment paper under, and that will actually slide nicely and go around. Now, there's also the grippy stuff, the shelf liner. Look at, you can see that. See how that shows through? It didn't really show through easily on the camera, but I don't know if this one will. This one's a little bit heavier, yeah, I think that those products actually are really helpful when we're trying to find something that's going to allow our piece to go smoothly through our throat plate on our sewing machine.
A quilted trivet, they use the shelf liner underneath that too.
On
a quilted trivet, like if they make a trivet, they put that.
Oh, making a quilted trivet, or that's a really good idea. So you've got that also. Hot pads sometimes. You know, when we're using, I know what I was going to say. There are some pieces of, I don't know if you call them fabric, they're kind of crafty stuff that you would use like on the bottom of a slipper if you're making a bedroom slipper, and it's got that kind of grippy feel to it. It doesn't have the see-through like it does on here, so you can't really see the other side, but it's actually a shoe, the bottom of a shoe, and that is a real good non-skid also. I have not tried it. I don't know for sure if that would work really well with this. I was just really happy the way this worked. So this is what I did. And like I said, there's a lot of different ways out there that people do this sort of thing and make these. But I really felt like it would be fun to do a special block for somebody. I like the idea of making it a little bit larger. And I love the idea of putting 2 together. I think that is super helpful. Anything else? Well, thank you all for joining me. This is the end of our Night Owl Quilting Hangout tonight. Please check out the Zoom video if you haven't yet, or if you haven't heard of Project Linus. It's not very long. I tried to keep it less than 30 minutes, and just to watch and see what we're all about and what we have to offer and how much fun this challenge is. Now, I've had some people that only want the pattern. They're not interested in the video. They don't want the big reveal. They don't want all that stuff to go with it. And that's fine too. Project Linus is just happy that you are supporting them with your donation. Whatever you're comfortable with, we're happy with, and we are more than happy to join with you in supporting this great organization. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I am always trying to be joyful, but I will always be merry, and I hope to see you for our next Night Owl Quilting Hangout, which will be on the first Monday of September. Can you believe that? No, that will be a holiday. So we probably won't have one on that. We'll have it probably 2 weeks later. So anyway, thank you all for joining me. And I will see you again. We have daytime quilting hangout on the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Central Time. Don't forget to go and answer the poll or send me an email if you would like me to move our night owl quilting an hour earlier, and we'll see. Okay, be sure and like the video if you haven't done that already, and please subscribe, and please invite other people to come and join our channel. We will talk to you again. Thanks for joining me.